Well, welcome everybody who is here this evening, and for those who will be watching our recording. This is our second MBSCL mentoring meeting, and it's a really special meeting because Tovi will be joining us here, and she's also one of the instructors for our program. And so we're just really lucky and with deep gratitude for Tovi this evening to join us. And we're just going to kind of structure our time just a little bit. And then it's really just going to be an open conversation and dialogue together. So we'll see where it goes and where it flows. But just so everyone knows where we're going this evening. And kind of mentioned before we started, if possible, just share in the chat box where you are, where you're from, what you teach, lead, and support. That way we can also lean into that together. And, we know and have a perspective as mentors in this space too, who's here with us. And one of the questions, the last questions there, if you'd like to share, is what has inspired you so far with the program? We are all coming at this time together in different places because this is a self-paced program. We also mentioned the opportunity if you wanted to skip ahead to different modules. So maybe watch Tovi's modules to kind of spark some different questions or ideas because she would be here with us. So maybe sharing anything that's inspiring to you so far in the program. And at any time, you can add that to the chat. So our journey this evening is really just grounding into Cosm's mission, setting our agreements for our space. So it is a common space for all of us here this evening. We'll drop into a short practice for our intention. And then I'll share one strategy for this month, which was our theme. And then we'll be able to connect with Tovi in a dialogue conversation together. And then we'll close with either action step commitments, because maybe there's something that inspires you this evening, or also a short closing practice so that we can continue to move forward with the actions that we take as leaders and educators in this space. So we always like to ground our work within our mission. And with our time today, I'm really just going to focus on that bold space down below, but we always want to just put that into the space to just really ground our hearts together. And that part of our mission states that by joining together as we integrate holistic approaches in education, we equip ourselves, our students, and communities with skills to heal and thrive and create a more equitable, mindful, and compassionate world. So just pausing and letting those words fall onto the heart and really leaning into that equity space here this evening and that mindful leadership, that mindful ways that we are being within our learning communities. And offering these agreements for our space to listen and share with an open heart, mentioning as well that this is recorded, but at any time, if we're engaging in a part of the conversation and you want something to not be recorded, that's totally fine too. And we can pause the recording and I can cut those pieces out of the recording because we want you to get what you need and also feel in a brave and safe space that this is. So just honoring that. All voices are heard and valued. Ask questions and take risks. And that's really one that I'll highlight, and I'm sure Tovi would highlight too today as well. Being as present as possible. And that last one's always open. It's open for possibilities. And if there's any other agreements that we want for our time together as a group this evening, feel free to put that in the chat or on mute. I'll just pause for a moment just to see the chat or if anybody would like to share any other agreement for our space. All right, we'll leave that. And at any time, if we need to add additional agreements, let us know. I see in the chat one more. Okay, Tovi sharing to be compassionate and equity in a way that does not vilify. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to add that into our agreements as well. I'm not going to worry about the formatting, but it is there. It is in our chat. We can lean into that and also lean into discomfort, I'd say too, because knowing that that is an area in which that we can continue to really honor as well, because within I'm always about the butterfly, but the discomfort is a part of the chrysalis, which are the imaginal cells, which then allows us to become that butterfly. And so that discomfort within is still a really powerful avenue that we have. So that leads us to our intention setting for our time. And Tovi, I'll just lean in on you for a moment. Would you mind leading us in that practice?
My pleasure and honor. So I just invite us to settle into whatever meditative posture is supportive for us in this moment. And we can gaze down or close our eyes. And I always love to just invite people to take those 3 deep breaths that can just allow you to signal to your mind, body, and spirit that you're going to do this. And after those breaths, just allowing your breathing to settle in at a pace and rhythm that feels supportive to you. Extending the invitation to bring the breathing as deep as possible into the belly area so that our breathing is naturally massaging the nervous system when we're breathing from the stomach area. And allowing this as an opportunity to recenter and realign. And we've been working with the theme of planting seeds and growing a garden. And when we think about where we are in our growth, what might that look like beyond the seed stage? What seeds have we planted for ourselves? How is that seed germinating? How is that seed starting to sprout? And maybe our seed is still in that stage where it's below the soil, and that's okay. We're all at different places with our intentions. And the beauty is that the seed is still growing, even though we don't see it below the soil. It's growing down, it's getting deeper roots, it's anchoring so that when it comes above ground, it is strong, it is resilient. It can withstand the conditions around it and stay centered and rooted and grounded. We just breathe into that knowingness. And while our intentions are sprouting and coming about at different rhythms and different paces, we can view our own growth as a deep contribution to our community garden, this community garden that we call Cosm. And some of us are flowers, and some of us are bushes, and some of us might be a tree. But we all contribute to this ecosystem of this mindful garden of intention that brings us into this beautiful community, all wanting to bring the beauty of mindfulness into the world. And flowers and nature, it doesn't compete. It just all becomes its own beautiful thing to contribute to the other. And then we just call it a garden or a forest or the woods, and we just are in awe. So let us take a moment of gratitude as we honor each person in this space today that is contributing to our beautiful cosm ecosystem and garden, that we can appreciate how each person is showing up and the gift that they bring. I'm going to count us down. And when I reach the number 1, I invite us all to ease back into full presence, eyes open and fully prepared to engage. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you for sitting with me, with us, and practicing.
That was so beautiful. And pulling into the garden and, everything that really resonated. And especially with the work that we're doing as an organization to cultivate that ecosystem. So, you know, acknowledging all of that here. And feel free if anybody wants to add in the chat any noticings or gratitudes or anything there in the chat. We already have loved and needed this. Yes. Absolutely. From Jamie, yes. Oh. So just a few, and welcome for those who are just joining in. Stephanie, hi. We just had a short intention practice from Tovi here. So I'm just going to give a couple reminders and then we'll be moving into our conversation and dialogue here this evening. No problem. We're grateful you're here. All right. So for reminders of the program, um, all of the links have now been updated in the modules to now link to the feed in the module and not a separate area to go to. So feel free as things come up, as you watch and engage in the content, to share in that feed. So that is there. Quick reminder as well, by the end of the month, we should have the new modules, or at least most of them, complete and ready. That will have the new framework, the skill progression, and potentially the mindful AI, as well as the pre, post, and checkpoint assessment rubric. So the rubric we're still working on a bit, so that might be a little bit further out. But just letting you know that'll be there. And I'm going to jump to our strategy here. Each month, as a reminder, we are connecting so that for you within your program and your learning, everything is cohesive. And so now we have those MBSCL lesson inspirations as well as the Voices blog. Those are in connection with each other with a specific theme, as well as our circles. So as you continue with your program, any of those resources may be something to tap into to help enhance your practice and learning throughout the program. And once you get to the part of the program where you are creating your own lessons or using lessons that you have, but through the MBSCL lens, these inspirations can be things that you use as well. So we just wanted to make sure you are all set up for success with everything there. So any questions or comments about that, or any logistical pieces about the program itself that we want to connect with? And again, as anything comes up, please feel free to use the chat or unmute. For our space, this is an open space, and however you feel comfortable, whether typing or using your voice, cameras on, cameras off, however you feel comfortable tonight. And so our featured guest is Tovi. As I shared with some of you prior to our recording, Tovi was our past president and really helped make COSM alongside Tracy just this really beautiful community. And it's been an honor to step into that role after Tovi. I've had the honor of learning alongside Tovi from her own trainings and in person, and just how dynamic and impactful of a leader Tovi is. And it really is an honor to have her in our space and as a core instructor in our program. So without further ado, I will stop sharing my screen. And we're just going to create this community time where and Tovi, in a moment, feel free to share a little further about you and how you would like this next part maybe to unfold. And we'll just, see where the garden grows. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lindsay. And again, it's really great to be back with the COSM community. And I just, Lindsay keeps me informed through the email list and just some of the things that are happening. And I just was like, I think, if any of us could be available from the program to kind of touch base with the group to be of support if you want to ask some questions in real time based on the modules, then let's show up and do our best to do that. So I needed to definitely, put my energy where my mouth was and make my self available to you beautiful participants and folks who are leaning into the MBSL certification. And it's just really powerful work. And I thought, let's do some Q&A time. Let's let people think deeper and go deeper. And so I really just wanted to have some time for questions. I can do some mini teaching on some things and my take on meditation, how I entered the meditation space. But I really, again, wanted to be available as people were digging into the credentialing program, just what does that look like in terms of what questions might be arising for you. And especially when we talk about it in terms of racial healing and belonging, right? A lot of my segments are on equity, and that's my general focus in service of belonging. And so, some other questions could come up, other things, other thoughts. So I'm here for it. So I'm going to be quiet and see if anyone wants to ask anything.
Well, I'm wondering now that you've kind of shared like those core areas, and also mindful leadership was a part too. So maybe let's take 2 minutes of just like that sacred pause, that moment of reflection. I know I have my journal here, and let's just take 2 minutes as like a collective, and either share in the chat, write some thoughts down, and then let's see where it goes. So if that sounds okay with you, Tovi.
Fabulous.
All right, let's do our 2 minutes and then let's come back as a group. And as the 2 minutes begin to become complete, feel free if again you want to share in the chat, or if you'd like to unmute and ask a question. I have a few here. But I also, it would be great to hear from all of you before I ask my questions for Tovi. Um, so I'll pause for a moment there and just see what comes up.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. This is my first time I've been to one of these mentoring calls, so thank you for offering them. My question is just on how how do you describe the connection between belonging, DEIB, and mindfulness? Like, what's your 30-second to 2-minute elevator speech on that?
On the connection between DEIB, mindfulness, and what was the third thing?
Or belonging?
Okay. So really the two things, how mindfulness and
Yeah.
belonging connect. They absolutely connect because I believe the intention for meditation and mindfulness was never about health and stress reduction. I think that that is a natural byproduct. I really see the practice and the way that it was introduced to me 30 years ago was more of a healing modality to do the inner work that comes with, I think, just being a healthy and thriving human, and also a more compassionate person. And that compassion really begins with self, and that love begins with self. And the more that we're able to love ourselves from a place of non-judgment and equanimity, and we cultivate that within ourselves, then we're able to extend that to others. And by extending it to others, we are not replicating and acting out the conditioning of the isms that would exist: racism, sexism, ableism, like all these things that go along with othering. Instead, we're really creating connection, but that connection truly begins with self. When we go into the neuroscience of what's happening through a consistent practice of mindfulness and meditation, the brain is responding in ways through the insula that are creating empathy and compassion. Through the insula, that's what happens. We may feel this love in our heart, but it's really beginning in the brain. And so neurobiologically, your physiology is actually shifting to be more inclusive. But you can't get there without engaging in the inner work from a authentic heart space, if you will. And again, the byproduct is that, yeah, you're feeling better and feeling happier. And generally, happier people hate less. Also, I mean, it's like, we're just not up for it. And there's generally less negativity. And then where it also comes into the leadership focus of things. So I'm going to complete the triangle because you said, belonging and mindfulness. And I'm going to add this leadership component. And we're all leaders, it just depends on the arena that we're in. The leadership place is that now our amygdala is also being trained to be less reactive. So the discomfort that comes with being more equitable as a leader and being more inclusive and what that entails, we're able to hold that discomfort from a place that is more balanced and equanimous, that lends itself to, again, now we're being a more mindful leader because we're holding space in a way that's more peaceful, perhaps rooted to more wisdom, connected to emotional intelligence. So we have this awareness for ourselves that is lending itself to belonging and being more inclusive. So it's really quite integrated, but it's definitely connected.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lindsay. Oh, that's a great question, Stephanie. I've tried to make it short. I don't know that I'm going to have to work on that. Yeah. And it comes over time. It's not necessarily, I have found that meditation starts working immediately. The depth of the profound benefits of meditation happen over time.
Okay, I have a quick question for you.
Yes, Jamie.
So you said that you've been practicing for quite some time, researching all this knowledge, but how did it come into your life? I know for me, I was at such a stressful time in my life. I had to figure out my why.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just intrigued. When was that moment that you said, this is what I need?
So I love that you said you've been doing this a long time and you've been researching. And the fact is, I wasn't researching, I was me searching. My practice started in 1994. I've had a daily practice since then. And my why was because I was trying to make peace with the discomfort of losing my mother as a freshman in high school. I was 22 years old when I started my meditation practice. I was a first-year teacher. And I was struggling to just find some meaning in why did that happen to me? Why was that part of my lived experience? The emotional stress and burdens that were coming from that. And so I was led by Black women mentors who literally said, you are your own healer. And every answer that you ever will need for anything about your life lies within you. But you have to be able to access that information and access that inner wisdom. And so literally they were like, go sit down somewhere and breathe. That was the instruction. And that's how my practice started. And the healing was profound immediately, and being able to access my inner wisdom, along with seeing the synchronicities that the universe was giving me, and the signs and the people who would show up, and the right book that would show up, and the person who would just say the right thing, was just deeply profound. I got to the research part in 2012, 2013, so a lot longer or a lot later, because I was undergoing an emotional intelligence certification, because we live in a society that says we need to certify everything, and we need to give it an intellectual meaning, and we need to monetize it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a certification program, and at the same time, I don't believe in certain certifications, just to be fully transparent. I don't think you can certify the quality of someone's meditation and mindfulness practice. I think it completely westernizes something that is so much more powerful and spiritual and rich and beautiful and anchored in thousands of years of tradition that's not Western, which also makes it not white. Right. And so how have we shifted needing to give that meaning and make it different, and have $100 yoga pants and do all these things to just access what is so accessible to us all, which is our breath and our connection. And when we strip it away, we end up with, what is the quality of our being? What is the quality of our connection? What is the quality of our consciousness, right? Of how we are connecting with each other.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I'm like, are we creating a more disconnected world, or are we creating a more connected world? Like, that to me is the question. Are our actions, which way are our actions taking us? Lindsay, this better not show up in one of your newsletters. I'm just kidding.
No, but thank you. Thank you. Because one of the things I'm realizing as I'm reading the book,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the people that are in the book were either professors from the Engaged Mindfulness Institute, a part of mindful schools that I was a part of, or a book that I had read. Because I live in right across from St. Louis, Missouri. So not Chicago, but in Illinois. And the word mindfulness did not really start spreading until like 2017. And so, like I said, for me, I started doing the research, and then I started realizing, wait, a lot of this stuff I've been doing naturally and didn't even realize it. But then as I'm reading all of these other people's stories of what their why was and how it came to be, and kind of knowing their story, it just gives me goosebumps of how big and incredible and beautiful this world is, this universe is, and how we are interconnected and finding it. But at first you kind of feel so alone. If that makes sense, you're like, oh my gosh, how did I not know about this? So I just wanted to know where your moment was. Because like I said, golly, I wish I had known about this 30 years ago instead of, like I said, 2017. It would have made a huge difference in every single part of my life.
And that's the beauty, right, Jamie? What you're naming is why it's so beautiful that we're starting with children now, like that it's becoming more popular and acceptable to do with kids, because you're absolutely right. It's a game changer. And I was blessed to start it in my early 20s. It is a game changer. I mean, I literally, the reason I feel today that I am healthy is because I processed so many emotions earlier. It doesn't mean I still don't have to do the work. I absolutely do. But when we think about trauma and ACEs, my ACEs is a 6. Like, that's high. But we also know that the number one research-based practice that can mitigate the impact and effects of trauma is meditation. So that's when I say it was the me search for me that, and then when I started reading about it through this certification program in 2013, I was like, oh my God, I'm reading about what's happening to me. Like, everything started clicking which is why I was able to make these other connections and take it a step further, even into equity, because I was able to read about and now articulate what I'd been experiencing and even the science of what was happening. I'm like, so this is what's also interesting though. I've barely read any books about mindfulness and meditation. And when I teach it and I tell people and I give talks, what should I read? I get all the time, what should I read? What should I go to? Don't. You don't need to. You need to go sit down and do it. It is not a practice that requires you to read about it for it to work. It's a practice that requires you to do it so that it works. So I'm like, don't start with a book. Start by sitting your ass on the cushion. Sorry, you're going to bleep that out. Start by sitting down on the cushion and doing the work of it. There's where the magic is. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I love this. I could talk about meditation like all day long. It's powerful. It's so profound. And I'm like, I don't know why we're trying to convince and cajole people to do it. I'm like, it's the most natural and easiest thing you can do for yourself. And it's free. But yeah, I think some of the messaging around it has turned some people off.
And it's
But
such a
people
shame.
are catching on. People are catching on.
But if you think about going back to your childhood self, we were all mindful and meditating,
Yeah.
being so present and in the moment and finding the joy, examining the leaf, rolling in the grass, smelling the fresh air. Gosh, and somewhere we lose it. And that just breaks my heart. I'm so grateful that I've been able to reconnect with all of this. I've told
Absolutely.
Lindsay, I have one daughter. She's 23. And she asked me all the time, who is this mom? This was not the mom when I was little. Now, sadly, she asked if I'm high, and I'm like, no, just on life. But it's been a game changer. It
Game
changed
changer.
literally everything. And it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what you're going through in life. If you could truly be present, if you could find the joy and the beauty and sit with it and be okay with those even dark moments, it's okay. It is
Yeah,
okay. Beautiful.
it
But thank
is.
you. Like I said, I was excited to get to meet you in person because
Thank you.
I've been doing, like I said, all the modules, reading the book, helping my team, and gosh, there's just a lot of super cool people out there that I just can't wait to keep meeting.
Yeah. And that is true. And so I also want to be really clear. I'm not discounting the pieces that come around with sharing about it and what the research says. Like all of that matters and it contributes to the quality of it. And at the end of the day, we have to embody this practice, right? To really walk our talk.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not book learning, it's embodiment.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And when you get to Tovi's chapter, she really, like I believe the quote is, we cannot teach what we do not embody. And just it's such a powerful reminder. And I mean, Tovi, you probably, we've touched on it, but some of the pieces here that I just know is like that difference between the doing and the being. If maybe you wanted to maybe share a bit more about that and the importance of shifting that mindset into that space.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Lindsay. I'll actually do a screen share on that one. Because this whole like doing and being, we're really caught up in the doingness. Hence, again, like starting with wanting to read about meditation before we go in and start actually practicing meditation. And a lot of folks will say, just tell me what to do. And it's like, I really want to explain to you what to do, but I can't get you there without us exploring how to be. And so this aspect of this chart, or excuse me, this framework that you're seeing here is really around building from the above and below the green line, the 6-circle model and the green line concept, that our beingness is really about our consciousness and our belief system and our mindset and our lens. Like all of that is who we be. It contributes to our personality. Again, the views that we hold, and all of that consciousness contributes to how connected we can be to ourselves and to the world around us and the people that are in the world, right? From our day to day, in our families, in our workplace, at the grocery store, however you see yourself connecting with other humans. And the transformation happens at the connection points, right? Because people are reflecting back to us. There are mirrors. Our stuff gets reflected back to us, especially y'all who have the courage to be parents, all that kind of thing. And then we go up into doing, and into doing is where the systems lie, right? So a lot of our systems are made up of practices. They're made up of curriculum. They're made up of policies, structures that exist. And how we do our systems is how we be as the creators of those systems. So when our systems are not inclusive, it's because the people who created them are not inclusive. You cannot do what you do not be. And so that is why this healing and transformation impacts our leadership. And the healing first starts with self, that we can't have systemic transformation without self-transformation, because we cannot recreate systems in the same vein and design of limitation that they were created in the first place. So if we want to be creating a more inclusive system, how are you as the leader more inclusive? Have you done your work to be more inclusive? It's not about vocabulary. It's not about checking a box. It's literally, have you shifted your way of being to where you can relate with other people in a way where you can feel the connection, that it's present. And the only people who can tell us that that exists are the people that we serve. We can say we're doing it, but if they don't say we're really doing it, which is like the allyship model, then we're really not doing it. And so it goes back to this framework that is probably in the chapter. I do get to this. I've evolved it some. That this whole piece around awareing, right? When we're meditating, can we be fully aware of what is arising right now-ing? That's this awareing piece. And so what's healing, and what Jamie has hit on and Lindsay have hit on, is that when we are meditating, this conditioning piece, the lens, the beliefs, the expectations, it's all healing. It's coming more whole within us as we're peeling back the layers of, how did we learn these things? How did I learn to have a belief that Asian people were smarter than everyone else? That's what I write, part of what I write about in my chapter. How did I learn that? That's just some false conditioning, right? But I had to go back within myself to figure out, why does that exist in me? How has it shortchanged my Asian students? Because they weren't getting the best teacher, Tovi. They were getting a good teacher, but because I thought so highly of them, I literally undertaught them, if that makes sense. They didn't get enough attention. So I'm like, they're going to know it anyway, right? So a false belief, even though positive, created some harm through neglect. Does that make me a bad person? Absolutely not. Did it make me do something racist? Yes. Would I classify myself as a racist? No. But I engaged in a way that didn't honor full inclusion. Right? But when I unpack that, now my lens is different. So now my beingness is different enough that now when I work with leaders who are Asian and teachers who are Asian, adult learners, I remember, they're not smarter than everybody else, just naturally. I need to honor them in the exact same way that I want to uplift other leaders. I need to be giving them that same attention. So this awareing happens during our meditation practice because you're becoming aware of what is so present within you. And then when we go out to this dual awareness place, that's where you started to grow so deeply in your meditation process that you can hold the dual awareness of what am I awareing within me, my inner landscape and my outer landscape. How am I holding leadership presence to hold the room, what's happening outside of me, but also know what's happening within me, and discerning the difference between the two, and discerning where am I going to go because this is happening in here, but where am I going to go because this is happening out here. And then we go into sacred pause moment while you're in that. And then we act skillfully. We respond skillfully because we've made meaning of both of these things. And I will say, it does take time to develop that skillfulness to hold both. And that, again, is where the depth of your meditation practice can take you. You don't force this, you allow it, and it will emerge. The best way to start paying attention to your own dual awareness and starting this presencing to what's happening around you as you're in a space and knowing that it's different from you. It's literally like, what vibes do you pick up on a room? When you walk in your home, how does it feel? When you walk in someone else's home, how does it feel? When you walk into someone else's classroom or school, how does that feel? Someone else's office, right? There's always this felt energetic sense. Start to pay more attention to it. Start to give it labels. Start to give it an awareness label, not a judgment label, a feeling tone label, because that green line is feeling tone. And we call the fancy word for feeling tone culture climate. Does your culture climate feel good? Does it not feel good? And I'll tell you what, the persons who are contributing to culture climate are doing it through their beingness, not their doing. We can fake the doing all day. You cannot fake your being. It is an absolute felt sense experience. Thanks, Lindsay.
That was amazing. Yeah. And so powerful. So actually in honoring that I mean, it's like the words, there are no words for that. It's just really that being, but just offering this collective breath together, and just breathing that in together as a community and exhaling out as a community. And we'll do one more just for that connection, breathing in together and exhaling that out. And just coming back to our space. And how quickly our time has already, gone. I mean, we only have about 5 more minutes, and, just making some of these connections. So one of the core areas in our program is our personal practice. And we specifically share in our program for about 6 months of practice, whether that's before starting the program or throughout the program. But I mean, as we heard, like what Tovi's been sharing, like that is the essential part of that being and discovery. And with our really nice companion connection with our framework that we have as an organization, how we start with self-connection, and that the ultimate goal is the social connection. It's beyond awareness. We can be aware of things, but until we can until we can elevate that to the connection, and specifically we state mindful self-connection and mindful social connection. It's very different than just feeling connected with somebody. It's that intention with it, and it's that purpose, it's that belonging, all of that. So, it's really wonderful to continue to be in this space and hold this space together, together, right? Like all of us. And as Tovi shared earlier, like we are all a part of the garden. Our seeds are all different parts of that garden. And whether that seed is for a flower, that seed is for the bush or the tree or anything is all a part of this. And just kind of pausing here for a moment and just checking in with Sarah and Emily, anything that you have, because I know Jamie and Stephanie had a chance to share. Just wanted to make sure that we all feel complete before closing our time and that all voices are heard. So just pausing there for a moment, and feel free either unmute or holding that space, or even writing in the chat anything for anybody whose voice we'd like to still honor and share today.
Do you feel complete?
Hmm.
Alan feels complete
And
too.
Alan too.
I've taken over the laptop.
You have, I wasn't sure if he was still in the room. Hey, Alan. Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you. And then Tovi, for you, do you feel complete, or is there anything that would be essential for our community here to close with, to receive, and then feel free to kind of drop us back in for that closure piece too.
I feel complete, and I just want to really just remind us that future generations are counting on us. They are truly counting on us. They're far more courageous than we are. This new group of kids that's coming in. They're more inclusive naturally. They're definitely connected in ways that we can hopefully not condition them out of. And so they're really counting on us to do our work and to be in integrity with the moral responsibility of doing right by them through our schools and our education system. And it is not to be taken lightly. So just let us remember that. And other people are trusting us with their children.
Thank you for that reminder, and especially as our landscape changes, perhaps knowing that all of us are called forward as leaders. And as Tovi shared, also, leader is not a label, it is a being. We are all leaders, and we are all called into this work. That's why we are here at whatever time it may be. For me, 7 o'clock at night, right? Like, we are here because we know that this work matters. We matter, and connection matters. And so with that, as we really close, I already shared our reminders. My last reminder really is just continue to engage. If you have any questions, please reach out, email. I will put the recording in our feed area as well as our recap email. So we will have that. And then Tovi, if there's anything you wanted me to attach to the email as well, please do. And Tovi is on our member site too. So if any of you want to message with Tovi or connect with her, she is on our member site as well. As we close, maybe Tovi, just a short practice to just really wrap this into the heart space. Would that be okay? And if anybody
Absolutely.
has to leave, we understand and want to honor the time. But if you're able, just for a few moments, close, that would be lovely too.
We'll just do this in like 60 to 90 seconds so we can really close together. So just gazing down or closing our eyes and just anchoring to the breath and feeling the beauty of this connection in this special community that is leading the way, leading the way. I just want to give us and recite the creed from Racial Healing Allies that just guides leadership in so many ways. It's entitled The Light of Our Healing. May the light of our healing, your flame meeting mine, my flame meeting yours, bring peace. May it renew the places we share and strengthen the light shining within us through us all. May we keep our lights bright in this work. When you feel ready, we invite you to open your eyes.
Thank you, and thank you all, and thank you, Tovi. And I will be the last to leave in case anyone has any other questions, but if not, enjoy the rest of your evening or day. And our next one is, I believe, December 12th. So we'll send out a reminder about that too. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me, Lindsay. Thank you.
Thanks, Tovi.
Thank you. It's so good finally meeting you.
So good to meet you, Jamie. Thank you for making it. And special shout out to Tracy for starting all of this, right? We have to remember our founder, just her beautiful work and labor of love. Yeah.
And she always shares our love too, and to all of you. And she just can't imagine and believe how far our organization has continued to grow. So she sends her love to all of us here tonight too.
Thanks so much. I do have a couple questions for you, Lindsay, just kind of more logistical questions because I'm newer to the organization. But I'll wait till unless other people have questions that are sticking around.
Great.
And I'm gonna go. Lindsay, if you need anything from me, please call on me and you can see. All right. Take good care, everyone. All right. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Tovi. Take care.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hi.
I'm Stephanie. I've actually been started on the MBSEL credential for a bit, but it's just taking me a really long time to get through it, and I'm loving all of it. But I'm curious, when you shared those resources earlier, where can I find, like, where are all the modules? Where do they live?
Yes. So let's go ahead and do a screen share here just to make sure we have what we need. And this will be good for Emily too, because she's just starting if she's able to stay. All right. So when you go to the member site, and let me just go to our homepage. I'm going to put this in the chat just to make sure. I would definitely bookmark our member site in general, just so that you can continue to come back. So when you're here, on the side menu, you're going to go to Learning Library. And in the Learning Library, you should have access here to the microcredential program. And so all of the modules are listed out here.
Oh, okay. Those are the modules I'm doing. I was thinking about the, I don't know, at the beginning you shared those resources and it was like the MBSL framework. Are those different? Or are they the same?
Well, there will be some new modules coming. They are grayed out here down at the bottom that will have
I see.
Okay. So those should be coming available near the end of the month. But
Okay, got it.
Maybe you're asking about is also in the resources section here. Also at the top, this is where those lesson inspirations are.
Okay.
And you can refer back to, so there is the integration framework here and the skill progression if you wanted to just get a head start and just kind of take a look. But here are those like sample lessons that you can maybe lean in on when you're getting to that part.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Let's just
No, that was what I was confusing modules with, like some other thing that wasn't part of the credential. Because I was like, I haven't seen these framework things So, but I understand now
They
that
are
they're
coming.
coming. They're not
We
there
just
yet.
launched it in August.
Got it.
And so that'll be coming. But yeah, so the personal practice, those modules that are there, and the few that are forthcoming, the book that you'll be reading, exploring the resources that we have, and then the creating, facilitating, and integrating MBSCL. So those are like the core like areas. And then if
Okay.
you scroll down here, you can always double check the requirements and all those different components that are needed. So it,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Got it. Okay, that is helpful. And how do you recommend, like I have the book and I just, it's so big. I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, that's a big nut to crack. And so I haven't even opened it yet. And I'm like, maybe I'll just go through the modules first. Do you, like, what's your recommendation? I saw there was a book study this summer, which I didn't take advantage of, but what's your recommendation about like tackling that?
Yeah. So there's a couple different things actually. Let me go back and share my screen as well again to help move things along a little bit when it seems overwhelming with that very
Yeah.
large book. So let me see if we have it linked here. Okay, we do. All right. So when you're on our website and you click on book,
Hmm.
I'm not recommending this.
Okay.
However, it can be a support. There is a book study guide,
Hmm.
and in the book study guide, there are quotes that are pulled out from each chapter.
Okay.
And what that might help you do is at least give you a glimpse of each chapter,
Okay.
lean into the chapters in which are relevant to your work.
Got it. Oh, okay. That would probably be helpful. I mean, I'd love to read it beginning to end, but I think I need to be honest about the reality of that happening. So that might be a good place to start.
Yes, this can absolutely help that. And then I believe what you're doing is after you read those relevant parts or in its entirety, you just have that one page reflection of how are you integrating it. So, that's however you take that, this course is to help you accomplish what you need to do
Hmm.
in the work and people who you serve.
Right, right. Okay, wonderful. And then, oh, the other thing I just wanted to share that, I've just recently heard about COSM in the last probably year and a half or so. And I was so excited to hear it's from Illinois. I grew up in St. Charles, which, is where you had your first conference, I think.
That's
And
actually where we're founded from. Tracy's from St. Charles. And so actually
what's her
St.
last name?
Tyler's,
Where does she teach? Does she teach her?
actually she's not a teacher. She is a parent. And so she
Okay.
actually was founded our organization through her research from personal practice, wanting to share with her children in their school.
Okay.
Husband is a PE teacher, and she realized after her own research that this is way bigger than just her own kids, and then so she knew that she had to create this collective.
I'm happy to be connected with you all and are really enjoying the work you're putting out. And I work for a small nonprofit that teaches mindfulness in schools. So we are contracted, we have a curriculum, and we're really trying to not just, everyone's like, oh, this is for the kids, this is for the kids. And it's like, this is really for your whole community. And so that's what we're working on. So your resources are really helping a lot.
And I shared this at our last time, but these are new resources that we
Okay.
at the Castle SEL Exchange. And now if you go on our website, I have to
Hmm.
still update the words with it, but you can put an order in. These are cards,
Okay.
and this might be a helpful resource to just help adults embody. You could do them with children
Yes.
too, but they're meant for adults. But the different colors align to our framework, which again, I will be sharing about this in our upcoming
Uh-huh.
modules. But so you'd have the
Yeah.
skill progression, So that's the alignment piece. You have the intention word, so something that can really ground for everybody.
Mhm.
The practice for that also gives that confidence for who's ever leading this.
Yeah.
They all close with I'm a mindful global citizen, which is from our framework, the
Yeah.
why we do what we do. It goes
Right.
beyond the classroom. And then our ripples out here are self, staff, students, society. So in our framework, we have the ripples. And so
Nice.
one practice, but how does this practice connect to all of those ripples? So this might be a resource that you might want to tap into
Okay. Yeah.
with.
Okay. And they're not ready to send yet, but you can pre-order them. Is that what you said?
I have some here. If you put
Okay.
in the order, and I know your name,
Okay.
that should work. But I have to edit a couple things on the website because we literally were only going to give it out at the SEL Exchange first.
Okay.
But now that is over, and I still have a few decks here, so they are available.
Okay, great.